I have been watching to the point of laughing at yet again more discussion, more incredible discussion as to the eclipse. The same thing over and over and over again. And one of the best examples of this is to see Lester Holt, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Al Roker explain the positionings of the planet Earth, the moon, the sun at the Hayden Planetarium with Neil deGrasse Tyson in this absolutely obnoxious, unnecessarily grating, hysterical laughter for no particular reason. It was absolutely incredible. The degree of stupid. I mean, it was unbelievable. Do you know that nobody's explained why you shouldn't stare at the sun? I mean, really explain to you why? I mean, you think you know. You think you know. But nobody's really explained it. Nobody really told you, well, here's why. See, normally you can't look at the sun because of the sun. It hurts. You can't look at it because it hurts. But you are going to be able to look at it with this particular configuration because these other little wavelengths, and normally you don't see the red parts, the heat, that's the part that really does some damage. It was just kind of an explanation about the different wavelengths and what you normally don't see, but just that's all. Now, I don't know about you, but I have absolutely no interest whatsoever in this degree of focus, and I sure as heck don't have any interest. I'm just saying it. I understand it's a big deal in March Madness. I know that's a big deal for people, but for me, when it comes to, I'm not going to feign interest in it, but I recognize how it's part of a tribal ceremony that a lot of people enjoy, and they find themselves in the position of loving this for reasons I think that a lot of time have to do with this notion of pretending that it really matters to them. I think it's also a very big male event. Sometimes males have to go through things in which they want to show you constantly that they are feeling things, that they are, look at me, I understand what's okay, fine, okay. But the story for tonight, the story for now, which is so interesting to me, and I promise you is going to be, for the most part, ignored, is the notion of the use of bloodthirsty and horribly terrible predictive programming and artificial intelligence unleashed, and a part of unleashing, if you will, the dogs of war. How bloodthirsty predictive programming and AI unleash the dogs of war. Let slip the dogs of war. For you Shakespearean folks out there, we're going to be talking about this. And we're going to be talking about an event that, for some reason, I don't know why, but when it comes to most people, they don't get it. But I get it. And if there's anything that should scare you, it's this. This. Not the eclipse, not the 4.8 Lebanon, New Jersey earthquake, but this. This should scare you like nothing you can believe. Okay? That's all I'm going to tell you. Like nothing you can believe. That's all I'm going to tell you. That's all I'm going to tell you. But first, dear friends, let me remind you to please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that little button so you're notified of live streams and the like. Make sure you like this video, which is so critical. And please take some time out and show some love to this great man and this great product. And by the way, what I'm showing you right now, this has already been changed. You have to go to MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel, and see what the new version of this is. We'll see for yourself. Well, it's time yet again to hail and salute our great friends at MyPillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, You get a free gift. No purchase necessary. I know, a free gift. Gifts are free. Okay, it's a tautology, so sue me. But listen to me and listen carefully. What are we talking about here? Down comforters, flannel sheets, Giza Dream bed sheets, MyPillow 2.0 body pillows, waffle blankets, couch and recliner pillows, sheets, slippers, percales. I'm not even done yet. Towels, quilts, bedspreads, mattresses, mattress covers, mattress toppers, linens, kitchen towels, bathrobes, pet blankets, bolster pillows, name it. Items to help you luxuriate and relax. And their monster sellers, slippers, my slippers, slip-ons, moccasins. Think about it. What do they do at MyPillow? What's their main goal? To make things real soft, plush, real comfy, or comfy as I say it. How perfect. So here's the link right now. Go to mypillow.com/Lionel. mypillow.com, promo code Lionel or /Lionel, or call 800-645-4965. 800-645-4965. And watch how fast our good friend Mike Lindell answers the phone. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel, simply and absolutely the best. When it comes to death, when it comes to the end of civilization, for reasons I shan't explain or shan't ever be able to explain, we've lost all sensitivity to the event. We kind of look the other way. We really don't care anything about it. It means nothing to us. True. It means nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's of no importance, no consequence, no anything. It just doesn't matter. And we always think that, well, sometimes these things take care of themselves. And that's the way humans are. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And when it comes to the Middle East, oh, forget it. Oh, my God. And when it comes to Israel and Gaza and Palestinian, pick your side and move on. And we're not going to go through the iterations of the arguments. That's not it. I am not. Please, I'm not going to bore you with that. If you don't understand that, of course you do. So you don't need me to explain this to you. But here's what I find interesting. There is a program that is going on right now, and not too many people are talking about it. It's called Lavender. Have you heard about this? Lavender. Interesting, isn't it? Lavender. This is an AI tool called Lavender. There was a new report published by this magazine, and it indicates that Israel has allegedly perhaps been using an AI-powered database to select suspected Hamas and other militant targets in the Gaza Strip. Now, according to the reports, this particular tool is trained and coordinated and instructed by Israeli military data scientists and the like. They sift through huge troves of surveillance data and other information and the like to generate targets. And they may have played a major role, we don't really know, in airstrikes and hitting homes and neighborhoods and the like. And the present count, according to the Gaza Health Ministry, there's about 33,000 Palestinians, the majority being women and children, who have been killed in this. Now, here is the story. And this is the purpose for this. And I'm going to say this, not thinking for a moment that anybody is going to pay any attention to this. And I recognize it. And I don't mean to be rude about this. I don't mean to be rude. I don't. But I know what I'm talking about. This is just But this poses one of the most incredible advancements, quote unquote, in the history of warfare. This is beyond anything we have seen. This is beyond anything even remotely possible, remotely explicable. Human targets determined by artificial intelligence without any real understanding as to why the targets were picked, the criteria of the target selection, and why this particular degree of lethality, concentration of attack, and the like were made. This is not the first step. This is the horror that we have been waiting for forever, where we have given up the targeting, and there's always data that are involved, especially we learned this during Vietnam, especially. But we have given up targeting to an artificial intelligence program of sorts, some platform, and we're not sure how. There's no way to verify it. And there's maybe 20 seconds that's looked at. You plug in all the data, and it says here, 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 and say, okay. And the next step, if it hasn't already occurred, is you just go ahead and fire. Because theoretically, this lavender, by the way, lavender, interesting, but this particular targeting, as it is alleged, listen carefully, is merely the selection. But we humans have to say, okay, yes or no. So you have to pretty much, they're signing off and rubber stamping whatever AI does. This should say, remember this date in history. And it's probably been going on forever, but this officially has changed everything. Do you, dear friends, understand what we're talking about now? Do you understand where we have traversed as a species? We had Oppenheimer, that fictional story that tends to, I guess, lionize without really explaining a lot of it. I have refused to watch that film. So I'm not going to be going into too much detail about it. There are very few things I refuse. I'll watch anything. That one I will refuse to watch. Next, for reasons that I will not be able to explain to you, and I try, and I am again fascinated by, not you, mind you, but how most people could not possibly care less about this. It means nothing. This is Asimov's nightmare. This is a sci-fi collision course right before our very eyes, and nobody, repeat, nobody gets it. Maybe because it's Israel, or maybe it's the Middle East, or I don't know. And it deals with the subject of artificial intelligence, which is a complete zero in this country. Americans they just have no ability whatsoever to comprehend any of it. None of it. None. It's no matter what. But that eclipse, oh man. Oh, I mean to tell you, March Madness. Oh, that stupid 4.8 earthquake. Oh, man. And we also had, interestingly enough, in the port, so to speak, in the channel here between Staten Island and Jersey, there was another example of one of those merchant vessels that lost power, that was precariously close to the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. Interesting. Don't get conspiratorial. Don't bring it. We're already past that. We're already past it. Remember that one? Baltimore? Whatever. Remember, 3 days. 3 days we can, as a country, understand this. Is anyone talking about this? No. Is Trump talking about this? No. Is Bobby Kennedy, our have you noticed how Bobby Kennedy's kind of pushing away from Shmuley Boteach? You know, the Bobby Kennedy's kind of like trying to, he's trying his best. They're even floating some idea of maybe Trump wanting him as vice president. I mean, this guy. This is just so interesting, and nobody is talking about anything of consequence. And finally, Annie Jacobson, and I've been a fan of hers since whatever attack, kill, whatever, since DARPA, paperclip and DARPA, and she's terrific. And her, if ever you listen to her audio, Audible or audio files are terrific. Really good stuff in this when you hear her, because her voice is so soothing and it's like ASMR. But she, for the first time, is making people very, very aware, and thank God for Joe Rogan and others, about making people very, very aware of what's happening involving the how do I say this? The World War, World War III, World War whatever. There's not even a world war. And at the very same time, this is even more fascinating, even more incredibly fascinating. There are people who are ostensibly from, I guess, the left. We used to think they were from the left, kind of, sort of. But anyway, these folks who are missing the chance to talk about this thing with any degree of, I don't know what to tell you. This is the stuff that scares me. I don't get scared. And when I say I scared, I mean, I get scared, but this is the stuff where I think, holy shit. Oh no. Oh no, this is not good. This is like one of those moments where you think this is where society went, like that. Just like that. And nobody will talk about it. And the most feckless, the most cowardly, the most incredible cowardice, the likes of which anybody has ever seen, is what is happening involving AI and warfare. And it's happening right now. It's the most incredible thing in the world. And what's even more interesting, and this is even better, and good luck trying to explain anything. This week, I believe, I saw it this week. There was a wonderful piece, a wonderful story about, interestingly enough, about this notion of, this fellow named William F. Buckley. You might have enjoyed his, how he was the paterfamilias, so to speak, of the conservative world, right? He was the guy. And what's really interesting about this is that he represents a group of folks who, for the longest time, were identified as conservative. And there are people that I know who are part of groups, and they couldn't tell you anything about how his version is almost anachronistic. It's from another planet. It has no relevance whatsoever. He is as alien to, he would hate Trump, hate him. He hated Nixon. He couldn't stand Rush Limbaugh. He couldn't stand any of these people. I mean, this is the guy. This is the guy who looks at this version of conservatism, and that's missed completely. This is the most fascinating thing, and nobody is even. There's another story that was on this week, and by the way, American Masters is great on PBS if you know what to look for. Daniel Patrick Moynihan, who came up with the greatest line. Well, his one of his apothegms. his bromides. He said something to the effect of, "You're entitled to your own opinion, but not your own facts." And he was the ambassador to the UN, U.S. Senator from New York, brilliant, and a guy who really had all of the veneer and the culture of the faux mid-Atlantic, so to speak. You know, he was the erudite academician who came from Hell's Kitchen and was very, very, very of a very poor background. And they killed him. He was this liberal who was raised in poverty, and they killed him because he said the plight of Black America is the fact that their family structures were disintegrated. And he was right. And they crucified him. Again, where would he fit in? He was a liberal. And now he'd be what? Oh, this is great stuff. John Maz says the New York Post is reporting that a massive container ship lost power near the Verrazano Bridge Friday night. The story will be gone by tomorrow. No one seems to care about anything. Where's Kate? Oh, John, thank you. And thank you, dear friend. In fact, I have I talk about this in my private channel. It's called the collage. The collage. And what I did today was give an example of something. I did some things which are kind of interesting, I think. I put together an hour programming, and I use this sort of I guess you'd call it I don't know what you want to call it, but it's it reminds me of the procedure that I talk about it in the Big Pink, how they had a typewriter there. So anyway, so I give you an hour. And if you notice it, it may all of a sudden I'm wearing something, and then I'm wearing something that it'll be a different jacket, or it'll be a different. It's like, wait a minute, what happened? Because it's an hour, and it might be fragmented. I might take a break. I might pick up. I might do whatever it is, and then I put in a lot of things. By the way, here's a link to that. I thank you. I normally have that. I did a piece. I highlighted one of the best songs ever for those from 1985 as an example of, just as an aside. It was "Take on Me" by Aha. Morton Hackett, remember this band, with one of the best, so ahead of his time. The drawing and the great, it was wonderful. "Take on Me" and still wonderful. Anyway, so I did that, and I also highlighted and paid kudos to this piece that Tucker Carlson did from this fellow named Santiago. I forget his last name. So I'm going to bring that to you. So it's a kind of a unique thing, and it's not heady or anything like that, but it's an hour, and it's not going to be just one little bit in any event. But I do bring up this exact same event, and how we have been told, and you probably know this too. We have been told, don't mention this, John, Mr. Maz. Don't bring this up because you're a conspiracy theorist. Okay. So anyway, so as we are speaking right now, I'm looking to find somebody who says, I understand exactly what you're talking about. And I think I've been not successful in that. And I realize it's not because what I'm saying is not important. It's just not viewed as important. We will talk all day long about God. And we will talk about things like life and death and the sanctity of life and evil. And we're very, very good at that. But this is something that is one of those deals. You are on the precipice. This is something which is this AI to say, all right, we're going to destroy the weapons. You can't destroy artificial intelligence. What they're not telling you is that, and this goes to recursive self-improvement, and you won't be able to turn it off. And you won't be able to know when it just activates itself. It may say, we're going to overwrite. It's time for us to do this. It may say, there is a contingent of Hamas fighters we have based upon this is AI now, looking at our particular focus of this. We believe that it will be an opportune time at this moment to attack this particular block in Gaza, irrespective of the amount of death, but it will strike a very important blow to Hamas leadership or psychological whatever, and we're going to do it. And somebody is like, okay, boom. And somebody will pass off the responsibility to someone else, namely the AI program. This changes everything. This just, we never had this idea of, it's not even hacking. Imagine if I could hack triggers, if I could hack, it's not even hacking. We have just turned over warfare to this machine, which is eventually not a machine. I call it a machine. It's not a machine. We have right now, before our eyes, dear friends, we have 212 days until the election. 212 days. And we're looking at something right now which was so, I mean, this is shape-shifting. And as I was watching this, going back to about the Buckley thing, I'm thinking he wouldn't believe what we're doing here. He would not believe this. He would not recognize the Conservative Party. He would not recognize any of these people. The Conservative Party right now, or whatever this iteration is I don't know what. It's almost I cannot figure it out. I can't figure it out. I don't know what it wants. There are no policies or procedures it stands for. You have right now the left and the right are exactly 100%. This is Biden and Trump. There's no daylight between them as to Israel and Gaza. There's no daylight between them in terms of Ukraine. Trump may have, at least he's got some differences as far as NATO goes, but that's another story. There is no left or right anymore. We have a group of people who don't react, who don't get upset about anything. We have these people. Have you noticed all of the vaccine? These people are just, it's story after story after story about this vaccine anger. And I'm thinking, I don't know if it's time for you to either let go of this or to recognize the fact that nothing is going to come of this. You're speaking to something that the world and the country has no interest in taming. Doesn't make any sense to you. Imagine you're in a train station and all the warning signs, all the exit signs, all of the alarms are in languages nobody speaks. And they're going off and nobody understands. Well, what does this mean? It means get out. I don't know what it means. Americans don't get scared anymore. We get angry, but we don't get scared. We get pissed off, theoretically, but we don't get scared. We don't see things like, oh my God, this is really this. You see, the conspiracy theorist, the reason why they want to shut you down is because the conspiracy theorist is somebody who is able to appreciate what danger is. They can see it. And it's not that they don't supply theories. And by the way, it's not a conspiracy, but I'm going to call it for that, just for purposes of shorthand. But they say it not because they just like it, but because they see a danger. And you have to be shut up. And the radical left and the shadow government and the ruling class and all these folks, deep state, whatever you call them, they want to shut you up by mocking you because you're the pain in the ass. You're this guard dog that keeps going off. Every time they're trying to break into the safe, you keep barking and they want to shut you down because you're alerting people. So they're calling you crazy. They're calling you crazy. And I'm telling you, they're also doing things. They're gaslighting you. Listen to what I'm saying before. And you said this, Mr. John. Kate Middleton could be dead. I mean, this blows my mind. She could be dead. She could be one of those stories like Cary Grant's. They used to do this in the old days. Was it Jack Nicholson? His aunt was really his mother, and his sister was really his mother, and this one just died. They never told him. And there's all these stories about people who are presented these realities that are just, and you said, well, where did dad go? Well, he just left. Sometimes when people would say when their fathers were in prison, they would say, well, he's in the army or something. Kate Middleton could be dead. And they're trying to see, what will you do about it? Even her subjects aren't saying a word. Carla, the cooking CEO, says zero censorship. We can't let governments corrupt or otherwise control what we say. Oh, absolutely. It's not governments. And by the way, Carla, we want to learn more about where you are a cooking CEO. We thank you. You see, what they've done was very interesting. It's not the government that are shutting you up. It's their proxies. The government's not doing it. The government is ordering people to do it. The government's ordering people to do it. The government is ordering people to do it for you. They're doing it. They're ordering this. This is the most important thing. They're telling, for example, what they do is they'll take something that you like, and which also happens to be the most important speech platform, let's say X or Facebook or whatever it is, and they will use their proxies to tell those people, who, by the way, are the pretend owners of these organizations that basically were created by the government years ago with DARPA and other particular funds, other groups, other folks, InQtel and others, but I digress. And what they do is they have this situation where you're shut down by virtue of the rules of the social media platform, not the government. The government, Carla says, we're not telling you anything. It's taken up with Zuckerberg. And then thank God for Elon Musk, who basically told us, well, here's what's happening. But you see, Carla, I don't care about this. If people lose their interest, it doesn't, all the lack of censorship doesn't matter. I could go to the government right now and say, do me a favor. For the next, give me 6 months where you promise me and you tell all your proxies for 6 months, everything goes. Everything. The N-word, sex, theories about health, whatever. Give me 6 months. You know what had happened? Nothing. 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 You know why? Because we don't react. It doesn't matter. The government's got it all wrong. You don't need to censor us. They may just like it, but you don't need to censor us. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to do anything. We don't react to anything. We have been stifled, quelled, muffled, mollified, shelved, strangled, muzzled. I don't know what the word is. For so long, we didn't even care what it is. I'm telling you, this story about AI being used in warfare, this has been the fear we've had, and irrespective of whether it's Israel or whether it's fighting against crime, it doesn't matter. We don't get it. And if you tell people, by the way, the old day, the longbow parable, how when man began to distance himself from others during wars, it posed the greatest threat to perpetuating and actually encouraging and exacerbating wars from being prolonged. They don't understand. It's like me going to a kid and explaining particle physics to a 5-year-old. I'm telling him, but he doesn't understand what I'm saying. It doesn't mean anything. And I can use analogies all day long, and it doesn't matter because he wants to play. and he or she are nice enough kids, but they're saying, look, I want to have a cookie and play, and or use my machine or my gizmo. I really don't know why you're talking to me in this way. I don't know what you're saying, and I don't really care. But today, March Madness, that's interesting. This stupid eclipse, that's what gets our attention. There's nothing to it. There's nothing to it. It's an event that it happens every whatever somebody. It means nothing. It means nothing. I mean, let me tell you the way things work. Last night there was a Powerball, okay? Powerball or whatever. I don't know what it is. And people love to say, "What would you do if you? What would you do if you won the?" Well, I tell you one thing. I quit my job. Is what I really. What would you do? Well, the odds of that are crazy. Well, the odds are 1 in 5. Okay, really? Yeah. I said, okay, let me show you something. Do me a favor and let me see. The odds of the odds. Okay. Let me see this. I'm trying to see. Oh, here we go. The odds of picking. Wow. This is 10 to the minus. I'm trying to do the math. Go up to somebody and say, I want to show you something. Here's a deck of cards. Pick 6 cards. Good. Look at those. Do you know what the odds of getting those cards were? 1 out of, I think it's 10 to the minus. The odds are just incredible. It's 1.94 times 10 to the minus 7. This is just what? Okay. So go up and say, do you know what this was? Do you know what the odds of that were? A lot. Why aren't you amazed? Because it doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't mean anything to me. That's why. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah, but you don't understand. The odds of getting it. No, it doesn't mean anything. The odds of you having a baby, the odds of you meeting your wife, the odds of you being here now, out of everything, the odds of Arruda and Christopher Raymond being together at the same time, one tile away from each other, is astronomical. But because you never put any significance on that a priori, it doesn't mean anything to you. Good luck explaining that one to people. You are constantly being bombarded with the most incredible things that happen before your eyes, and they are of no significance to you, so you pay no attention to them whatsoever, but you will sort of look for things that don't really matter, like the eclipse, which we knew it was coming. And by the way, we have eclipses all the time. You do know that, right? The moon is always there's always an umbra and a penumbra, but the problem is it's below our visual area. We can't see it, but it's always going on. There's always a full moon. The moon is always there. The moon is there. By the way, the size of the moon is big. It's a mother compared to the size of it's one of the biggest moons relative to our Earth there is. Okay, fine. Doesn't mean anything. This AI predictive programming is, who saw Minority Report? Minority Report is one of the most important things ever. They have done the Minority Report. I remember doing this on local TV here. People thought, here he goes again. This was all over the place. They took this and they looked at weather, they looked at population, they looked at time of year, time of day. They put all this up, and they can predict certain things. And it was before the algorithm. It was before the notion of what the algorithm is today. And I was telling people about this, and and I remember then. See, my life is one warning after another with nobody paying attention. Let me give you a new one. You ready for this? Here's a new one for you. And this might be of interest to you, maybe not, but if you know me, you'll know it's a big deal. Okay? Let me show you. It is the following. This is a new story. Let me give it to you. Here we go. Here we go. This is from Politico. Okay? On Tuesday morning, a group of scientists launched this is April the 4th. Okay, this is from the 4th. So this past week, on Tuesday, a group of scientists launched a stream of microscopic salt particles into the sky off of the deck of a decommissioned aircraft carrier in Alameda on the eastern shore of San Francisco Bay. The test marked the country's first outdoor experiment to limit global warming by increasing cloud cover to reflect more sunlight away from the Earth. It is not the first time. The fact that very few people knew beforehand reflects how touchy geoengineering projects still are. I told you that when they do this, by the way, it's called Coastal Atmospheric Aerosol Research and Engagement, or CARE. I told you, and I've been telling you repeatedly for years that one day, that as we speak, they are engaged in geoengineering as we speak. It says salts. Salts, as you know, are, let me see, salts in chemistry. I think it's period 7, isn't it? Salts are, let me see. Salts, periodic. The halogens. I think it's period. I think it's table. So salts are sodium, periodic table. Come on. Sodium. You know what I'm talking about. The halogens. Building 7. Iodine. Sodium. Hang on. Period 7. It is the, yes, 7. That's not it. I'm going to keep finding this. See what I'm doing? Just a minute. Keep talking amongst yourself. Okay. I'm not done yet. Well, I am done because I realize I'm wasting my time. The people who've been screaming the loudest about climate change are having the climate change before them. And what they are doing is right before their eyes. Here we go. Number 7. Hang on a minute. What is this one? I'm sorry, talk amongst yourself. This fascinates me. I have not looked at this in years. This used to be lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. They are, I'm sorry, I kind of zoned out there for a moment. I was just going back to my old days of moles and looking at moles. Avogadro's number, 6.023 times 10 to the 23rd, taking the atomic number and what that meant. So what they're doing is they're spraying geoengineering in the sky, which is what we do. They're called chemtrails. That's what you used to call them. But we don't call them that because that's the conspiracy theory. And I told you one day, I said, one day it's just going to be, they're just going to say, yeah, we do it. And they're already doing it now when you look at geoengineering. I promise you, Bobby Kennedy's not going to be talking about this. Nobody's going to be talking about anything. And by the way, the reason I bring this up is not so that you go out in the middle of the street and yell the end is nigh, or Louis nigh for that matter. It's the fact that you know these things and that you're saying I want accountability and nothing will be said. You do understand that. Let me just tell you again, nothing is going to be done. Nothing is going to be done. Let me stand by for 1 second. Let me take a breather. It's very tough doing this every day, but I think you're worthy of it, and I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep telling you about this because you're going to say, you know what? He was right. Oh, I've been right so many times. It's scary. And I'm also right about this. Let's talk about a very serious subject, emergency food. That's right, emergency food. Now, I know at first blush, it's difficult for most people to think about something that they just take for granted, ever reaching, emergency status. We're used to stores always being open, deliveries always made, no supply chain disasters, no ransomware catastrophes, shutting down gas stations, no trucking strikes, no war, no protests from farmers, no mysterious Chinese weather balloons, nothing catastrophic in terms of weather. Well, that can't happen to us, right? And I understand it's a defense mechanism that we have because the idea of ever not being able to eat or locate food is seemingly incomprehensible to most people. But think about this. It's not. That's why it's time for you to go to my site, preparewithlionel.com. Preparewithlionel.com has the deal of deals for you. Take it as a starter set, an introduction set. You've been putting off emergency food for too long. Some people still have a thing about prepping as though prepping for emergency is foolish. Now, right now, you can save $200 on a 3-month emergency supply kit. This is unbelievable. 22 varieties with a 25-year shelf life, 25 years, 2,000 calories a day in 6 rugged buckets, 120 pounds of food. Could you go 3 months, 90 days if stores closed? Be honest. Could you go a week without any trips to the store? I don't think so. I'm not talking about having stuff in your cabinet. I'm not talking about banana chips and jerky. I'm talking about food, real food. So go right now to preparewithlionel.com. This moment right now, preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com. Go now and thank me later. My friends, remember one thing. Americans in particular do one of two things as defense mechanisms. Number one, they don't react, but more importantly, they just don't know. They won't learn it. They don't, it's not of any interest to them. So consequently, they're pretty happy with stuff because all of this talk is like, what are you talking? I don't have time to learn about this. And that's precisely what's going on. So my friends, I want you to understand something. Read about this Lavender program. Read what's going on. This is not anti-Israel or pro-Hamas or pro-Palestine. No. This is going on right now. This is something that officially has changed the landscape of human warfare. And I'm telling you, now is when you should get real scared. Because as I told you before, a lot of folks are talking about nuclear war more than they have for a long time. Why do you think that is? Is that just by accident? And believe me when I tell you this, you cannot comprehend two things. When AGI goes rogue, forget it. I don't even know. That's going to be the hardest thing to explain because it's not something you can unplug and people think it's a machine and you can turn it off and it's not. But the idea of full-blown thermonuclear conflagration, good luck and good night, Irene. So Carla, the cooking CEO, thank you so much. John Maz, thank you so much for this. Please follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors. She has one of the most important. You've got to see this interview. It's up, right? With this young lady whose story will blow you away. You I'm telling you, you know how sometimes people say, wow, this is a wonderful story. I mean, you listen and you go, oh, okay, that's pretty good. You know, it's good. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good. No, no. This is a story of a person whose life was, uh, you'll want to give her the gold medal or the Medal of Honor. It's the most incredible story. I'm going to give you this link. But please go and please follow Mrs. L. And in particular, follow this right here. This one right. Listen to this story. It's, I mean it. It'll give you hope again. It'll make you feel good about the human condition, so to speak. And also, as we say, and as I've said to you, dear friends, also follow me, our sister station at Lionel Legal. I've got some stuff coming up on a legal matter. For example, what's this talk about? Please explain squatting and where squatting comes from and why now. And isn't there a law? Is this like adverse possession? What is going on now? What needs to be done? What would you do to fix it? And why are we as a society involved in this? That's simple. All right, dear friends, thank you so much. Have a great and a glorious night. Thank you so much again for your interest and your focus. And I'm telling you, be afraid. Be very afraid. Because this is only the beginning, as a great Bobby Lamb intoned. All right, dear friends, see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Until then, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.